You know, the good book says that young men see visions. So it means that when a country fails, it is the young men who fail. Now, welcome to another great episode of People Talk Show with me, Kevin Oluoch. And as I said before, talking about young men, today we have a young man in our studio today by the name Michael Wahiaki. Michael has been so much into planting trees. All he wanted to see is green everywhere, conserving our environment. And this thing has taken him even further out of the country. And he believes that when you do something out of love, you get fulfillment. So let us get to learn more about him, get to know what he does. So stick there because the show has just started. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Very well.
Michael, like, and I just see it's green mpaka kwa nguo.
Yes, it is.
You didn't tell me, but I never green meat here.
Usijali. Yes.
Others are looking good.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell me, where did Michael Wahiaki hail from? Zaliwa wapi?
I'm born in Limuru.
Yes.
And of course, most of us migrate to the city to look for greener pastures.
Yes.
Yes. And other than that, I've grown up in Limuru, went to high school, in and out of the city. And then now I got to do a little bit of accounts.
Yeah.
And now I'm pursuing a bachelor's in business.
Lovely. Where did you go where did you go to in primary school?
I went to Tigoni Primary School.
Tigoni, huh?
Yes.
High
Then high school I went to Nyeri Baptist. Then after that I shifted to another school.
Nyeri Baptist?
Yes.
My sister was there also.
Yes, it was a mix.
Nyeri Baptist, they do music and they have... Were you there?
They do basketball, a lot of basketball.
They do a lot of basketball,
Yes.
but then they also do a lot of music of late.
Yes.
They are, I think, the first high school to do
a musical. Yeah. I saw it.
Yeah, my sister used to be there. Lovely.
Yeah.
You moved to where again?
I moved to a school here in Karori called Wangunyo. And then later on moved to Visions for my CPAs. So after that, that's when now I progressed. I just started my degree a year ago. Yeah, but all along I've been doing a lot of CPAs and I got into a lot of project work. Yeah.
So how far with the CPA and the accounting right now?
CPA I did up to section 3.
Right.
Then I realized accounting wasn't my calling and decided, okay, I think business works for me. And just lately I discovered I'd rather focus on green stuff, green initiatives and green projects. Yeah.
Just before you continue, you're saying that you after a certain time you realized that accounting was not your calling.
Yes.
What lessons did you learn? Because that thing affects very many people. You start doing a course and
Yes.
you go further with it, only to come and realize, I really don't want to do this thing.
Yes.
And you change. Where do we go wrong?
I think basically parents have a really big role to play.
Yeah.
Because they know their kid as he grows up. And you realize that the parent is the one to identify the talent or the skill with the child.
Yeah.
I was good in maths. So ideally, my dad is an architect. So ideally, I was either going to go into engineering, architecture, or mathematics, or now accounts. I'll tell you for a fact. Maybe my dad is watching, but he told me accounts would be good for me. So I went into accounts. Later on, I realized that I wasn't enjoying. You know, as you're doing CPAs, you get a part-time job and you start doing accounts. We were doing things about the past.
Yes.
And I was thinking of what can I be doing?
So CPA was so much of just doing the same thing
all over again.
Yeah.
In fact, like his profession, it's about your creativity, how you create a building, and that fascinates me. And I wasn't so much into architecture, but I was into design and things like that, art and such. So I reached a point, and as I was practicing and I was still going for my CPA classes, I realized I'm not enjoying this and I don't want to do it. So somewhere along the way, I just realized I can't go on like this. I was doing much better in small businesses here and there, selling fruits, selling this, selling that, and design, graphic design.
Why are you doing that? As in selling fruits and selling things?
Well,
is it because you didn't have finances, or just doing it out of the love, or just wanting to do something?
You see, when you leave out of school and you're at home, there's a period where it's like your parents let you now mature or grow up.
Okay.
And being the last born in a family of 5, and I realized everybody had left home, and realized, you know, at some point even I am going to leave. At home we are blessed with fruits, and I could sell the fruits, get some money, buy myself something, a shoe or something. I could move from one place to another. And this was like the entrepreneurial skills in me that were there. So it wasn't so much of a need as such that I didn't have enough, but had been provided enough with education.
Yeah.
But you know, as a man, when you reach a certain age, your father tells you, now, I think, please, you may leave now. So from there, those skills, I left early, I think around 21 or 22, and started living on my own. Went to a small insurance firm, started learning as I was practicing accounts as a clerk. Then later on moved into another firm where I was a small manager, managing at least 5 staff. Then I was now accounts manager and reconciling, still in insurance.
Yes.
So in the span of that time, I learned insurance. And I also learned more on accounts. Then I learned on so many other things, how to handle people, how to manage people. Then now I got into a lot more of projects when I joined a Rotaract club. So that was like, I've been in Rotaract till last year. It would be about 7 years.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So now, right now, you're currently doing business administration?
Right now, I'm solely focusing on green initiatives. Last year, I saw a need that the society needs to meet. Even like corporates and individuals, with the line of work that I've been doing, within the 7 years, we did various projects. I learned so much about projects, and then I got to interact with so many dynamic people. In those 7 years, I got to travel in and out of the country, and well, when I came back, I saw that people need a particular thing. People have needs. So how can we implement this? How can we make sure that people get the needs that they have met?
Yeah.
So I started learning project management. So we got ourselves into grand projects. And the one that I'll remember most in all my life was one that we did in Mai Mahiu for IDPs. We went to build houses for IDPs. Remember, after the post-election violence.
Yes.
So we collected stuff around our area and took to one of the camps. Then later on, we started just publicizing on Facebook. Social media has really worked. Publicizing on Facebook, we got ourselves T-shirts, caps. And I took, I think, a whole month just designing all that stuff.
And who was funding this?
We were funding it ourselves with a couple of other. I was then president of our Rotaract club, which is Nairobi Central. So we brought together four presidents, and we did that project. We went there as a group of, I think, 120, and we did like 3 foundations. And we partnered with Habitat for Humanity, and also Nation was helping us with the publicity. So with that, we got to really understand, okay, so you can really make a difference. After that, we teamed up with KQ, did a major tree planting in Ngong. Then there was the president's tree planting at Konabaridi in Ngong. Then the Prime Minister was planting trees in Mau. We went there.
You were also involved in that?
Yes. We were working now with Miss Kenya, the then Miss Kenya.
Yes. So
we planted trees there. We came back. I got the church involved. We planted some trees in Ngong Forest Sanctuary. We went there like 3-4 times with now different groups after the church. Then we teamed up now with Green Africa Foundation, who have been doing Plant Your Age campaign.
Just before you continue.
Yes.
At what point did you decide now I'm giving up the accounts things and now I want to go green?
Yes.
At what point? At what point did you just have the transition?
I think in 2009, it was a quite unique time for me finding myself. I'll say this because, as you said, it is a really critical time when you're trying to find yourself in life.
Yes.
You've been doing the wrong thing, then you discover, man, I want to do something else. And I think in 2009, I had like a span of 3 months, finding myself, finding God. I'm born again.
Yes.
And in that time,
lovely, that's good.
Yeah, in July, I was born again. But I had this time where I was really lost. you know you're not heading anywhere, you don't like what you're doing, you really want to do something that has impact. And the one thing that I had been taught all through my life in Rotaract was about service above self. Then when I started reading the Bible and understanding the word, I got to understand that Jesus came here to serve. The more you serve, the more God enables you, and he opens up doors. And I'll tell you, between 2009 and now, I have traveled. I had never thought I'd travel out of the country, but I did. And I don't pay for the airfare, I don't pay for anything.
They're all catered for.
All catered for.
How did your parents take this?
Well-
They've paid for your school fees all this time to do the counting things, and then you come telling them, no, you want to go green. Seriously.
They didn't take it well. I remember at one time I sent a message to my dad and told him, you know, we are doing this, we are helping in my Mahia during that time. And later on he called me and he told me, you know, now if you're doing these things, where is your degree? What is this new thing that you're doing that now you don't even want to do accounts? So it was really hard to make him understand that I was enjoying accounting. And this was the new thing that I really want to do. And I feel a calling. And I'm passionate about it and I want to do it more. So making him understand, I think maybe he understood maybe in 2011 or 2012. Mm-hmm. So it was like, really, have you gotten there? You know, as a parent, they look out for their kids. They want to know that you have made it. You can pay your
product.
Yeah, you've made it.
Yeah.
You have your degree, you have everything. Like now the degree that I'm doing, it's sponsored. It's paid for. I only paid just. So everything about me now is like a miracle. You know, like you do God's business. He does your business. He takes care of everything. So guys are asking me, so how can you get a scholarship like that? And it is in Switzerland. So I try to explain to them that all I aspire to do and do is just what I feel I'm passionate about, and it's about the environment.
Michael, we've been hearing these things from when we were kids.
Yeah.
You do God's part and then God does your part. But then it still becomes very hard for people to do that.
It is.
What is the problem?
I think it is a part of trust and your faith in God. Mm-hmm. God is real to me. He is as real as this water is here. Mm-hmm. He's very real. As in, I'm here and I can say that this is God's undoing. So I don't necessarily live myself as me. I live what he has called me to do. I have a timeline here on earth. We're not going to live to 120 or 150 or 200. We're going to only be here for a time and a season. I want to be remembered for the things that I did to glorify God. And more so, I realize as Christians, we are forgetting our role as stewards, to take care of our environment, to take care of each other, to love one another, small things. And it just comes back to the fundamental basics of life, that you are brought here to serve me.
Do Christians realize that they have a responsibility like you do, because you're a Christian and you do this out of a love to God? Some people think just being Christian is just going to church and just being there and ubora mokoka, kwisha, and ubora tuhubiri. Do Christians realize that they have a bigger responsibility to do?
I think if they did, we would be very far. We wouldn't have the poverty we have now. We wouldn't. I know the world has its problems and everything, but as Christians, if Christ died for us, and we now have gotten that grace and mercy, and you can only understand grace if it has been accorded to you.
Lovely.
Yeah. So Christians need to get out there. It's not about just going to church or just being there on Sunday. It's about your way of life. It's about everything you do. It's about how you treat your brother, your sister. And I'm not saying it's only from the angle of environment. It's everything we do with each other. Honestly, it's like you become mentally alert, that you owe a duty of care to someone else.
Yes.
And therefore, you're living a life that God would say, you know, you are a Christian. You live a Christ-like life. Yeah.
Let me understand this. You've been doing CPA and all that. Now, the issue of green, was it something that it was just in you and you're like, one day I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Or after you felt like, I'm not anywhere with this CPA thing and accounts thing, and then green just popped up from nowhere. As in, ikatokea tu kona, I think naweza do green.
Yeah.
So like, was it there before, or it just like popped up, or feel you're tired of the accounting things?
I think from like 2009, it was like a rebirth of the new me.
Right.
And understanding what life is all about, like, made me aware. I'll tell you one experience. Last year is when I was invited for the World Economic Forum in Addis. And before I went, in the year before, I had met President Kibaki. And I had met him because of doing that project in my Mahio, and I was leader of the young adults in our church. So I was slowly being pushed there at the forefront and slowly being told, you know, you don't have to have so much. You just have to be willing.
Yeah.
You just have, whatever you have in your hand, I will use that. So I will show you, I will direct you. So every time between then and now, we've done countless projects. We've visited enough homes.